This program is brought to you by Rogers Xfinity, connecting you to more of what you love. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Welcome to Living Well, Giving Well on Rogers Television. Grey County, I'm Denise Reid, and David Adair. Fred's away this week, and David was kind enough to come in and help. Later on in the show, we're going to have a video, which is a partner video from the Home and Community Services Support Services of Grey Bruce. 33 episodes we're into now, which is shocking for me. But it's a concept that Willard Vanderploeg of the Bright Shores Bright Shores Foundations and Stuart Reid of the Community Foundations put together. Living well, giving well. What does that mean? What do we do in our community? What do we do to help people? What do we do when we're planning our wills? All of that, we've been going 33 episodes in. And the details on how you can create a legacy gift, we've been referencing willpower.ca. Great reference to go on to if you're looking to get information on doing your wills and how you proceed on that. So our host charity is the Georgian Bay Symphony, and luckily we have David here, and he's going to give a little background on that and introduce our guest as well.
Yes, so I am David Adair. I'm co-hosting today. I'm with the Georgian Bay Symphony, and we are the community's orchestra. We have been in existence since 1972. It was originally a group of local musicians got together and entered an orchestra in the Kiwanis Music Festival. And afterwards, one of the adjudicators came up and said, would you guys like to form a real orchestra? And they decided they did. They had their first concert that fall of 2017, and been going ever since. We now have 5 professionals who sort of guide the others. We just hired a new conductor who the audience and the musicians seem to like very much.
That's important, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Jeffrey Pollock. And he, before the pieces of music, he usually does a little bit of talking about what to listen for, maybe some background about the composer. So there's a little, you kind of know before the music starts what you should be listening for. And we are a registered charity. That's why we are involved with the Living Well, Giving Well. It's important to us. We don't just survive on ticket sales, so we also require donations and sponsorships.
Yeah. So it's telling a story. That you said the conductor tells the story about
Absolutely.
the song. Well, our guest today, Richard Thomas,
is the storyteller. So Richard, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I didn't expect that question. Well,
we caught you right away.
Of course, I'm not local to Owen Sound. I've only lived here 38 years. My kids are local from Owen Sound. And I've been, since the early 90s, studying Owen Sound's history and writing fictional and non-fictional books about the city and its history, which is fascinating. By the way, I only started because people assured me nothing had ever happened in Owen Sound and nothing would ever happen in Owen Sound, and I'm happy to have proven them wrong.
And you've written a series of detective.
Yes, I wrote 8 detective stories set in Owen Sound in the 1920s, and then the rest of my books, if I do some quick math, I think there are 17 others.
I was going to ask, how many books have you
Number
wrote?
25 just came out. It's a history of the Owen Sound Kiwanis Club. It hasn't been released yet, but I have a copy of it, so I know it's been printed.
Well, because aren't they, I thought I heard, are they 100 years?
They're celebrating their 100th anniversary in Owen Sound, and I was contracted to write the book for them, and I think I blew them away with the information I was able to dig up on the impact the club has had on the town in the past 100 years.
Well,
just amazing.
I mean, memories, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because people that are on the Kiwanis now, or us, I mean, do you remember back maybe 20 years. I don't know.
That's
Then
right.
you talk 30, 40. Now you're into the 100 years. So.
And the older you get, the hazier it gets, all that back there
Oh,
stuff.
seriously?
Yeah.
Is that how it goes? So are you, when we talk about recording your memories?
Right.
I mean, that was the topic that we talked about. And besides the book writing of the history and that, do you do for families? I think it would be, we called it a legacy, giving
Right.
to our family. And is giving that to your family, the memories, part of what you offer, or you do?
I don't do that in my business. There are people that do, sort of legacy biographical videos.
Okay.
It can be expensive. It's actually probably easier for people now to use their own cell phone and create the videos, and then what I can help them with is getting the video off their cell phone onto some sort of a memory device that will last a lot longer.
Right.
But I mean, there are a lot of ways people can record their memories. Certainly, as a writer, the one that I always suggest is writing. And I have actually done one biography. I'll show you quickly, but this is a biography of Tom Norris, who owned Norris Bus Lines up in Wyerton for many years, and his family hired me to write a biography of Tom while he was still alive, and they just printed 50 copies that they shared out to family members, and it's never been, this is the first time it's ever been seen in public, I would say. I mean, that's one way to deal with saving your story, and a lot of people, we're self-effacing, a lot of us. You know, oh, what have I ever done that's interesting? What could I be? Well, like Tom Norris achieved so much. But you know, every individual lives their own life, and every life is different. And certainly as a researcher, over the years, I've spent a lot of time looking for people's lives and details about people's lives. And, you know, I see the value in recording things. I brought a few props here. This is a photostat, or a photocopy of a book called The Early Days of Owen Sound, written by A.M. Stevens, who was a mayor of Owen Sound. And it's a fascinating look into what life was like in the 1890s in the town of Owen Sound. And if he had not sat down and written that down, we wouldn't have that information. And it's always so much better having a personal memoir or memory to draw from as a historian. As a family member, I have some family members that I just wish had written down some more of their memories, or I wish I had had the wherewithal to ask them and record them myself. You know, I'll give you a personal example. My mom died very young at 53, and I thought I had lots of time to ask the questions and get the stories and record the information, and all of a sudden there was no time at all. And so for a lot of people, I mean, it's certainly worth jotting memories down. Humans are by their nature storytellers. You can tell I am, because I haven't stopped talking since I asked the first question.
We're very appreciative of that.
I'm not even sure we asked a question yet.
We're very appreciative that we get that response back as the I guess interviewers. So I mean, in this day and age, when you look at, there's your books.
Yep.
There's your books. We've come into this computer world.
We sure have.
And videos and phones and that. How is that changing? Or I don't think it's better or worse.
Yeah.
I love reading a book.
Right.
I mean, to me, it's got to be in my hands.
Sure.
But are you seeing that change with storytelling?
Well,
or?
it is and it isn't. I mean, I'm a professional videographer. It's what I've made my career out of, and so I've worked with all the latest technologies. But the one thing I'll say about a book, say like Ted Tizard's memoir of Owen Sound, this is the only media that is always available to you. If the power goes out, guess what? You can read your book.
Yes.
You know, if you're somewhere where you don't have Wi-Fi or internet, guess what? You can read your book.
Exactly.
You know, the thing that concerns me so much about all the new technology is, again, as a historian, everything that's online is going to disappear eventually. So if we don't print it or write it down somewhere where it can be retrieved, how will future historians know anything about our society? They may not want to, actually, but you know, how will they study us in a way that is meaningful when we have all this digital media that disappears. People, you know, have Instagram, they have Facebook, they have all the various different ways they post their memories, but all that stuff is going to disappear. It's one keystroke away from being gone. Yeah. So for me, books are still the go-to. I mean, you know, 20 years ago, everything was on, or 25, VHS, and then all of a sudden, everything was going to be on DVD forever, and now everything's on USB keys. I mean, you can't keep up. I mean, the printed word to me is still always going to be accessible no matter how everything else in the world changes, as long as people can read. For sure, for sure. And how do you start then? Like, how do you start? I mean, when the Tom Norris's, like when his family came to you, or how do I start and say, geez, maybe I will put down a few things? Well, there's a couple of different ways. I mean, you know, it's always, for me, it's always best just to start at the beginning. And many people will start with their earliest memories and they'll just jot them down, and, you know, eventually they'll figure out what form they want it to take. I brought along a great book here written by an Owen Sound author named Glennis Stowe. I knew Glennis pretty well, and it's called Saving Your Life, A Guide to Writing Your Life Story. Short commercial, available at the Ginger Press in Owen Sound. They're about to bring out a 25th anniversary edition of this, but it's really a step-by-step guide on how to write down your life story in a way that's meaningful for people. And so, you know, what she often suggests is that you just write things down and you save them all together, and then at some point you can try to put them into a form. I mean, I'm very big when I write history on chronology. I like to start at the beginning and work my way to the end when I tell a story. And so things fall very naturally into place when you tell stories in that way. And for people writing their own information down, that's probably a really good way to do it. Glennis Stowe, I knew her through, we went to the same church. Okay, and she was an amazing person and had, I think, that gift. I mean, gift of writing, gift of stories. You know, not everybody has that creativity. I don't think I think that way. Right. Well, it doesn't have to be creative, though. All you have to do is tell your story. You could tell your story to me. You know, put your cell phone, we talk about technology, put your cell phone on record and tell your story to someone and record it while you tell it to them. We can all tell stories, you know, but the key is saving those memories for future generations. I mean, you may not think your kids are very interested in you now, but someday they will be really interested in what your experiences in life were. Teenagers, they weren't. As adults, adults, I think.
It's true. I wish when I was younger that I had listened to the stories my grandfather told about the war and stuff, but it was like, you know, you're not listening. Or journaled. Journaled. I imagine that would be good resources too. Well, we're halfway through here, so I you know, you're watching Living Well, Giving Well on Rogers Television, Grey County. Our charity today is the Georgian Bay Symphony, and when we return, we'll talk more with Richard. We're going to have a video of the Home Community Support Services Grabers.
Hi, I'm Polly Moyse, and I am the Friendly Visiting Facilitator for Home and Community Support Services. The vision of Home and Community Support Services is for people living well at home. As our community ages, the cost of living continues to increase and mental health resources remain scarce. We're finding more people in need of HCSS services.
I moved to Wyerton, I guess about almost 2 years ago, a little less, and I was very, very lonely because I lived by myself in the basement. Somebody suggested that I check out the Day Away program, and I decided to come, and it's been great. I've made lots of friends, and I'm not lonely anymore.
The key services that Home and Community Support Services offer are transportation, a ride to appointments, also Meals on Wheels is a very popular one. We provide hot meals. Through the week, but we also have frozen meals as well that can be delivered to their home. And we also have the Day Away program is a very popular one. We're also noticing more clients in need of financial assistance. The amount of subsidy dollars that we have given to HCSS clients this past year has almost tripled. However, we're witnessing a growing gap of those in need but are not eligible for assistance. The generosity of our Grey Bruce community keeps our programs operational and growing as we aim to meet local needs, keep client service fees at a minimum, and provide financial support for those in need of HCSS Grey Bruce services. 100% of your donations remain in Grey Bruce. Donate to HCSS to empower your community to maintain physical and mental well-being.
Welcome back to Living Well, Giving Well on Rogers, Grey County. We just saw a video from our Home and Community Support Services of Grey Bruce. They're a local sponsor of the Willpower campaign and a partner with us in Living Well, Giving Well in Grey Bruce. If you want more details on how you can create a legacy gift in your will or support a charity, go to willpower.ca. It's very self-explanatory, great information. I'm Denise Reid, along with my co-host David Adair and our guest Richard Thomas. What else do we need to know, David?
Well, I just wanted to ask Richard about why it's important to record your own personal stories, but family stories. Growing up, my parents owned a wildlife park, and whenever we have family dinners, my brothers and I start talking about the time the emus got out, or the time that someone called, they thought one of our bears had escaped. And there's all these stories. And of course, my kids are like, and other people are like, oh, you should write these down. When I was in grade 3, my parents sent me to school with a monkey on a leash for show and tell. And at the end of the day, it got out and ran up the tree in front of Ryerson School. And it wouldn't come down until my dad arrived. And the buses were delayed and everything. And I know I should write down these stories, but what does someone need to kind of give them that push? Like everyone thinks it's hard to do.
Well, you know, I've taught writing classes many times over the years since I started writing myself, and the greatest advice I can give about writing is you just have to sit down and do it. Don't think about it. And the number one thing I tell beginning writers, and I may use more colorful language than I'll use here, but the key to writing is giving yourself permission to write crap. Yeah. It's not going to be perfect the first time you put it down on the paper. Yeah. You just, but that will hold people up, is that desire for that first line to be the perfect piece of prose. And it never happens, not even for me. Yeah. You know, you always have to just get it out there and then fix it up later on.
I think half the battle too, I mean, when you talk about those stories, and of course these, like we just had family celebrations and that, and I can't remember sometimes. You know, oh, do you remember this or do you remember that? No. And that's why sometimes I think that journaling or you know, just write when something happens, just write it down. Or go to your family and say, hey, what do you have to, you know, put onto this? And because the generations change, boy.
Oh, yeah.
The stories change.
Oh, sure they do, because society changes around us constantly. And I mean, you know, Glynis in her book gives some great examples. You know, she wishes she'd had a memory from a relative in the 1700s who was an orphan and was pawned off on the Weaver at the age of 12 and became a weaver for life. And you know, wouldn't you be just thrilled to be able to read a little something about that person and understand it? And you know, we are right now, we are creating tomorrow's history. That's what we're doing sitting right here. That's what all of us does every day. We create tomorrow's history today. And people are going to be interested in it, whether you think they will or not.
Right.
Right now I'm working on a book about an Owen Sounder who, he was born here in 1873 and left in 1892 and lived a life of such unbelievable adventure all over the world. And he was well known in his day. I have over 500 newspaper articles on him. Nobody today has ever heard of him.
No.
And I have spent the past 4 years trying to find things out. And if he'd just written down a few of his own stories, boy, would that ever be helpful to me.
Yeah.
And we probably all know somebody who, for example, is the family historian. That person that joined Ancestry.ca or .com and has spent hours and hours and hours building a family tree. And I do the same thing. You know, I've got family members back to the 1600s, but I know nothing about them.
No.
There's no information. My maternal grandfather came from Ireland on a boat in 1932, a Salvation Army boat. He was indentured to a farmer in Stratford, left during the potato famine. And I heard a few stories growing up, but boy, would I ever like to know more about what his life in Belfast was like before he came to Canada on that Salvation Army boat. And everyone, no matter who you talk to, has got stories like this in their family that today, if they're young, they might not be interested, but I have this theory that once you pass 40 or 45, you all of a sudden become very interested in the people who have gone before you.
And sometimes you know these stories, but you don't know the context or that. Like my mom's great-grandfather walked here to Keppel Township from Toronto and became the first certified teacher in Keppel Township. That's really all we know. It would be amazing if he had kept a diary or something about what was that like back.
Because for us now, with the social media, the whatever, you know, it just seems unfathomable. You know, walking from Toronto to Owen Sound, like that's incredible, right? And our kids, you know, I sometimes, my kids are in their 30s and we talk and I say, oh, you know, something. And my son says, Mom, you know, first world problems. Or, you know, I can't even think of those journeys.
Well, boy, remember how tough it was to have to get up off the sofa and go change the channel on the TV set? Because there was no, I mean, we take it all for granted now. But in looking back, people will say, wow, I had no idea that was the way things were. I mean, we all had our parents who said, oh, when I was a boy, I walked to school uphill both ways in bare feet 2 miles and 4 feet of snow.
Yeah, in your pajamas.
Well, some of those stories are not so far-fetched.
Right.
And again, you know, here we are today. All of us should be writing stuff down for not just our kids, because our kids know our stories, but for their kids and their kids' kids, 4 generations away that will exist, but will be interested in knowing more about who their ancestors were. And that's the value for me in recording your stories.
Yeah, I think that as a mother, interestingly, I have those, you know, books from, you know, birth to grade 6 and was always writing that down, always when your first steps and that. I truly believe with our new technology that everything is this instantaneous or whatever, and that we have to say to ourselves, okay, go ahead and do that and take the time to do that because it takes a lot longer to write things down, or maybe they just put it on the computer now.
And pictures of your lunch really aren't a story.
Right.
on Instagram.
Yeah.
No, that's right. And so, and technology, you know, we talk about technology, it certainly has made it easier to record your history. I mean, you could now record your history in audio, and for $20, join a website that will then transcribe the whole thing for you, and then all you have to do is print it. So it's really removing the barriers of needing to type it yourself, if that's a barrier. You know, you can just speak it and you can have it transcribed and then print it and put it somewhere. I mean, I have a lock box at home, a fireproof box that I keep, you know, my will and important papers in. Put it in there in an envelope so that someday somebody will have it and it will exist in the world.
Yeah. And so when we talk about local resources, I mean, you've shown us Glennis's book. I mean, you could go to the library, I'm sure, and there's just massive maybe availability of local support on how you start, what you do, or you've mentioned the computer as well, right?
Well, and there's actually somebody I was speaking to, actually Gail Norris, Tom's wife, who hired me to write the book about Tom Norris. She has a membership in a website where the website gives you assignments, and you have to write small assignments every week, memories, things you've done, etc. It all gets kept, and at the end of it, you get a book. Right?
Wow.
So there are so many ways.
Wow.
But the public library is always an excellent place to start when you're going to go on a project like this. You know, Glennis's book, I just point to that because that's a local example of a book that's sort of a how-to, but there are many, many, many of them out there. There are websites you can go to. There are writers groups you can join, which will actually, you know, writers groups are an excellent way to do your memoir because you've got other people who are sort of cajoling you and trying to keep you going on the project because we all slow down on projects when we're working on them at some point or another and need encouragement.
Yeah, and I think that we've talked, this show's about living well, giving well. I mean, we've tried to have topics that fit into that area, however you perceive it, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, when you are living well and creating a book that would also bring back to you these memories of your family and that, and then we talk about the legacy of giving to others. Well, there you go. You were giving the legacy to your family, right? So it's kind of interesting that way.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, your great, 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 great grandchildren will thank you for taking the time to write down those memories so they understand what life was like in 2025. Was it really as crazy as it seemed? Well, yeah, in a large way it was.
So if anybody wanted to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
They can always get in touch with me through my website, richardjthomas.ca.
Okay.
And that's got the website that's got all my books and writing on it. And there's an email link that you can click there and send me an email if you have any questions about things.
That's great. So special thanks to our host, Georgian Bay Symphony, and David for co-hosting with me this week, and of course our guest Richard Thomas for sharing his gift, his knowledge, his experience in helping us to maybe create memories and a legacy, you know, for our family. That concludes today's edition of Living Well, Giving Well on Rogers Television, Grey Bruce. I'm Denise Reid along with David Adair, and thank you for watching, and please join us again. Next week we're going to have Dr. Colin McKeever, and he's going to talk about MAID, which is medical assistance in dying.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
Hi, I'm Carol Merton, host of We All Belong, Our Neighbors, Our Community, a new Rogers TV series promoting the diversity of our community in Grey County. Please join me on Rogers TV.
Are you a passionate content creator ready to expand your audience reach? Do you have unique stories, captivating hobbies, or special interests that deserve a spotlight? Rogers TV is here to amplify your voice within the community. We offer you the platform to broadcast your content to a wider audience. And the best part, it's completely free. Don't miss this opportunity to share your vision